You have spent a lifetime stepping on it. Cursed it for cracking your driveway, spent your weekends ripping it out of your lawn, and likely spent hundreds of dollars on chemicals designed specifically to kill it. But it is the single most successful weed in American history, surviving in compacted soil where your prized Kentucky Bluegrass would not last a day. To the Native Americans who watched the first settlers arrive, this plant was not a nuisance. They named it white man's footprint because it seemed to spring up wherever the colonizers walked, thriving in the chaos of the wagon trails. Pharmaceutical companies charge a premium for synthetic compounds to heal stubborn wounds and regenerate skin. But this plant manufactures those same compounds for free. It is a first aid kit encoded in a leaf, and a sacred herb that was once believed to be one of the 9 plants given to humanity by the gods. This is the story of broadleaf plantain, Plantago major, the king of the driveway, and the chemical warfare that turned a sacred healer into a suburban enemy. Welcome to Ancestral Yields. If you are ready to stop poisoning the medicine at your feet and start using it, make sure to like this video and subscribe. We are reclaiming the forgotten harvest, one weed at a time. To understand the power of plantain, you have to look at it under a microscope. Inside those flat rosettes of oval leaves is a chemical profile that makes it arguably the most useful first aid plant on Earth. The secret weapon of plantain is a compound called allantoin. Allantoin is a cell proliferant. In plain English, that means it stimulates your cells to regenerate and multiply at an accelerated rate. It is the active ingredient found in high-end anti-aging creams, burn treatments, and expensive wound healing ointments. While you pay top dollar for synthesized allantoin in a plastic tube at the drugstore, plantain manufactures it for free in your backyard. When applied to a cut or scrape, it actively knits the skin back together, speeding up the healing process by triggering the body's own repair mechanisms. But it does not stop at healing. Plantain is also a drawing agent. Its chemical makeup, including the glycoside aucubin, gives it a mild antimicrobial effect. It has the ability to draw out toxins, venom, and foreign objects. For centuries, the spit poultice, chewing up a leaf and slapping it on a bee sting or a spider bite, has been the go-to remedy to stop pain instantly and pull the venom out of the pore. Now, let's talk about what happens if you eat it. In a 100-gram serving of raw broadleaf plantain leaves, which is about 3.5 ounces, you are looking at a mineral density that rivals the best crops in the supermarket. Let's look at calcium. Modern spinach, often touted as the king of calcium, delivers about 99 milligrams per 3.5 ounces. Broadleaf plantain blows spinach out of the water with an estimated 184 to 200 milligrams for the same serving. That is nearly double the calcium, essential for bone density, and it is available for free. There is also vitamin A. We eat carrots for beta-carotene. A serving of plantain leaves provides a large amount of beta-carotene, often exceeding 4,000 international units, providing the same vision and immune support as root vegetables, but in a leafy green form. It is also loaded with vitamin K, essential for blood clotting and bone health, and ursolic acid, a compound being studied by modern science for its potential to inhibit muscle atrophy and support metabolic health. Before it was a weed, plantain was prized. In the Anglo-Saxon world, long before the concept of a manicured lawn existed, plantain was known as way bread. It referred to the plant's ubiquity along the way or the road. It was considered the traveler's guardian. In the 10th century, it was recorded in the Lacnunga, an ancient medical text, as one of the herbs in the 9 herbs charm. This was a prayer and a recipe used to treat poisoning and infection. The text calls plantain the mother of herbs, describing it as a plant that has withstood the crushing weight of chariots and the trampling of bulls. yet still rises up to heal. It was seen as the ultimate symbol of resilience, because it could survive being crushed. It had the power to cure those who were crushed by illness. The Roman legions knew this too. Roman soldiers, marching thousands of miles to expand the empire, faced the constant threat of foot rot and blisters. They would place broadleaf plantain leaves inside their leather sandals. The cooling, anti-inflammatory effect of the leaves kept their feet from blistering and swelling on the long marches across Europe. It was the original orthopedic insole. As they marched, the seeds hitched a ride on their gear, spreading the plant to every corner of the known world. When Europeans sailed to the Americas, they brought plantain seeds with them, sometimes accidentally in the mud on their boots, sometimes intentionally for medicine. The indigenous tribes of North America, who had a deep and sophisticated understanding of their local flora, noticed this new plant spreading along the wagon trails. They called it Wajagapa, white man's footprint. But rather than rejecting it as an invasive pest, they adopted it into their pharmacopoeia almost immediately. By the 1700s, tribes across the continent were using it to heal festering wounds, treat digestive issues, and most famously, to draw out the venom of rattlesnake bites. It was a rare example of a colonial introduction that was welcomed for its utility, bridging two worlds through its healing power. So how did the mother of herbs become public enemy number one for every homeowners association in America? The answer lies in the aftermath of World War II and the birth of the chemical lawn. In the 1940s, scientists were developing biological weapons and chemical agents to destroy enemy crops. One of the discoveries was a synthetic auxin, a plant hormone called 2,4-D. This chemical was a breakthrough because it was selective. It worked by overloading the hormonal system of broadleaf plants, dicots, causing them to grow uncontrollably until their cell walls burst and they died. However, it left narrow-leaf grasses, monocots, completely unharmed. This was the smoking gun the agricultural industry was waiting for. Before 2,4-D, a lawn was a polyculture. If you look at photos of American yards in the 1920s or the 1930s, they were a mix of grass, clover, plantain, and dandelions. This diversity kept the soil healthy and provided food for pollinators. But in 1946, 2,4-D was released to the public home market. Suddenly, homeowners had a way to kill everything in their yard except the grass. To sell the chemical, they had to sell a new aesthetic. Marketing campaigns exploded in the 1950s. Chemical companies needed to create a demand for their new weapon. So they created an enemy. They demonized broadleaf plantain as well as other plants we now call weeds. It was no longer waybread or nature's Band-Aid. It became an ugly, flat intruder that disrupted the visual perfection of the green carpet. They sold the idea that a lawn should look like a billiard table, sterile, uniform, and composed of only one species. Today, the cracks in the concrete are widening, and plantain is waiting for us to remember how to use it. But before you run out to the driveway to harvest a salad, we need to talk about safety. Do not forage broadleaf plantain from the side of the road, from public parks, or from strange driveways. Broadleaf plantain is a bioaccumulator. It pulls heavy metals, like lead and cadmium, out of the soil. Because this plant is so hated, these are the exact spots most likely to be sprayed with glyphosate or 2,4-D. While plantain is distinct, beginners should always be wary. It is generally safe, but make sure you are not confusing it with something like young lily of the valley, which is highly toxic. The leaf structure is quite different once you know what to look for. You can identify plantain by the 5 to 7 distinct veins that run parallel along the back of the leaf, like the strings of a harp. If you have it in your backyard, do not kill it. If you would like to plant it, buy certified seeds. You can find organic broadleaf plantain seeds from heirloom suppliers like Baker Creek. Plantain is incredibly easy to grow. It thrives in compacted, poor soil. You do not need a raised bed with fluffy compost. A hard patch of dirt in the corner of your yard is perfect. Scatter the seeds on the surface of the soil. Do not bury them deep. They need light to germinate. Keep them moist until they sprout. Once established, they are drought-tolerant and virtually indestructible. The most practical application is the spit poultice. It sounds crude, but it is effective. If you are gardening and get stung by a wasp or bitten by a mosquito, pick a clean leaf, chew it up for a few seconds to release the juices, which activate the compounds aucubin and allantoin, and place the green mush directly on the bite. The relief is almost instant. It stops the itch and prevents swelling. Harvest the young, tender leaves in the spring. They have a mushroom-like, nutty flavor. You can eat them raw in salads or blanch them like spinach. As the leaves get older, the veins become tough, hence the nickname fiddle strings. But these older leaves make an incredible mineral-rich tea or vegetable stock. And do not forget the seeds. The tall spikes that shoot up from the center produce thousands of tiny seeds. These are a close relative of psyllium husk. They are packed with mucilage and fiber, making them excellent for digestive health. You can harvest the seed heads, dry them, and add them to breads or crackers, returning to the literal meaning of its ancient name. While plantain is powerful, it is not for everyone. Historically, plantain has effects on the uterus. If you are pregnant or breastfeeding, avoid consuming it internally to be safe. Plantain is rich in vitamin K, which helps blood clot. If you are on blood thinners like warfarin, eating large amounts of this plant can interfere with your medication. And surprisingly, if you are allergic to melons, you might have a cross-reaction to plantain pollen or leaves. Always consult a healthcare provider before consuming any herbal remedies. Broadleaf plantain is the ultimate survivor. It thrives in the places we have damaged the most. So every time you see plantain growing through a crack in the pavement, recognize it for what it is, a rebel. It is a refusal to be eradicated by chemical warfare. It is a reminder that nature provides the cure right next to the poison. By letting a patch of plantain grow in your yard, you are rejecting the sterile, industrial narrative. You are reclaiming a relationship with the land that goes back to the Roman legions and the Anglo-Saxon healers. So next time you step out your door, look down. The medicine is not in the cabinet, it is under your boot. If you are ready to stop fighting nature and start using it, like the video and hit subscribe. See you in the garden.